Always safe where you are, but safe only gets you so far. What if you look your fears right in the eye? Say you'll see them another time. What if for once you can find a piece of you that you've been hiding? You've been hiding. What if you chase your heart out to the edge? Rewrite your stars and be brave instead. What if you jump and the falling feels a little like you're flying, like you're flying? Oh my darling, if you try, you just might kiss the sky.
Chapter 2. There Might Be Bruises. Hiccup jumped off Toothless the second they landed. They hit the ground running, his dragon following faithfully behind him. He passed Astrid, who shouted in confusion. Yeah, he didn't blame her. He was sure they were a sight, but he couldn't worry about that now. He had an enemy to save. Hiccup burst into his hut, shoving the old parchment and iron tools off the spare bed frame in the corner, cluttered from the lack of use. Once done, he called Toothless over. Once the dragon was close enough, the rider pulled Viggo off his dragon, quickly untying the linen restraints. He, with as much grace as he could muster with his thin body, maneuvered Viggo onto the bed. He was careful to lay him on his stomach, watching the arrows with a bit of dread in his. The man let out a small groan, perspiration gathering on his brow from the painful movement. Hiccup cringed a bit, but quickly ran back outside, not paying it much mind. He had to hurry and find help, or there won't be any recovery. He cupped his hands around his mouth and yelled, "Fish legs!" His voice felt hoarse as it shook, echoing through their base. Instead of the rider he needed at the moment, Astrid quickly made her way towards the distraught rider, confusion and worry disturbing her expression. "Hiccup! What happened? What are you doing?" She tried to look back at the hut, but Toothless growled from the entrance. She recoiled, astonished at the dragon and his rider's behavior. Hiccup growled, his eyes flashing. Yeah, he really didn't know either. Probably something I'll regret. "Where is Fish Legs? Fish Legs!" He shouted again. Gods, he didn't have time for this. He quickly turned to run in the direction of Fish Legs' hut. His dragon also howled with him, trying in his own way to get the bulky man's attention. Astrid followed Hiccup's hasty jog as she scanned him, worry painted on her face. "How can I help? Hiccup, you have to talk to me." She was cut off as the sight of the twin Zippleback appeared in her peripherals. She looked back, stopping in place alongside Hiccup, but only for a moment. Her eyes grew wide at the sight of the creature grasped in their claws. "Coming in for a landing. We brought home a special guest." Barf and Belch gently placed the dragon onto its side. "Yeah, meet Thunderlord, our new brother of Wilkydom." They leapt off their dragon, patting the unconscious dragon's hind leg. She shook her head, electric eyes wide and worried as she ran to keep pace with her betrothed. Hiccup? That's a Skrill." "Thank you, Astrid, I know. You would not believe what happened out there, but I need Fish Legs, now." As if on cue, the man in question jogged up to the fanfare, breathing heavily as he looked upwards. Fish Legs gazed at the spiked dragon, jaw gave as he worried his hands, clearly wanting to write down everything about the dragon before him. "Hiccup, wait, is that... You brought home a Skrill? How? Why?" His eyes widened as he processed the arrows decorating the purple and black scales of the dragon. "Oh, it's hurt!" The large rider started towards the dragon, but Hiccup quickly cut him off, grabbing the man's arm and standing in his way. Fishleg sent him a look of shock and frustration as he asked a silent question, one which Hiccup quickly answered. "I need your help. You studied under Gothi, you know more about healing wounds than anyone. I have someone in my hut that has severe arrow wounds to the back. I need medical attention and all of the materials you need there, now." Fishlegs looked at him, alarmed and confused. "What? Who?" "Someone who needs help. Come on. Come into my place when you have everything. Hurry!" Hiccup yelled, starting to run back to his hut. Toothless stood in vigil at the doorway, nearly as wired as its rider. Astrid ran next to him. Why are you guys being so loud? A man's got to get his beauty rest. Snotlot finally decided to grace him with his presence. Hiccup directed the riders, ignoring his cousin with not even a look in his direction, which Snotlot snorted at, eyebrows furrowed. Astrid, you and the twins watch over the Skrill. Snotlot, grab some dragon root antidote from Fishwick's hut. Treat the Skrill. Everyone nodded, some less serious than others, but all feeling the tension in the air. Snotlot threw his hands up. Are you going to tell us what's going on? Snotlot shouted as Hiccup reached the doorway. Hiccup ignored him, striding inside. Astrid, against his wishes, peeked her head into the hut after the dragon moved further in. Her eyes widened, unbelieving at what, or rather who, she saw laying there. His face was pale and sweaty as he let out a small groan. Black hair stuck to his head, and arrows protruding dangerously close to his spine. I had to do something, okay? Hiccup yelled, running to the hunter's side. Astrid took in the scene with a hint of panic on her face. Hiccup, have you lost your mind? That's Viggo, the man who nearly killed us and destroyed our village? To add insult to injury, Snotlot decided to pop his head into the hut. Toothless growled. Whoa, Hiccup, that's our enemy. What are you doing? You cavorting with them now? Hiccup glared at Snotlot. Thanks for pointing out the outcast in the room. Just please do what I told you. I will explain everything later. Toothless tottered to the door, pushing both of them back out with a snarl. Snotlot whined at the action, eyes wide as his brow furrowed in frustration. Fine, whatever. Snotlot, finally doing as he was told, stormed away. Astrid stared into the room around the dragon's wide frame, dumbfounded. Hiccup huffed as his dragon made his way to the bedside, comforting the rider with his presence, big eyes staring at him and the hunter that lay before them. Hiccup sighed, gripping his bangs before glaring at Viggo. You still have so much to pay for, Grimborn. I refuse to let you die like this. The hunter responded with a wheezing sigh, eyebrows furrowed and skin sallow. Just in time, Fishwick burst into the cabin, his arms full of bags and bottles. He quickly trotted in, dumping the materials on the desk by the bed before fully taking in just who he would be tending to. Hiccup, what in Midgard is he doing here? Hiccup elected to ignore the question as it was thrown at him again. He was done delaying. Fish, thank Odin. He took 4 arrows in the back, 1 fell out. He passed out before we could escape. Fishwick took in the man before him, his face going pale at the sight of the blood-soaked tunic with arrows protruding from it, the open skylight emphasizing the sheen of sweat and blood that caked the hunter's back and face. Viggo breathed shakily, even unconscious. Hiccup, that looks really, really bad. We need a leak in here, and I'm just an apprentice. Hiccup cut him off, glaring at his teammate. Fish, focus. Oh gods. Okay, cut off his shirt. We need to see how far they went in. Hiccup did as told. After unbuckling the belt and loosening the linen, he quickly unstrapped the dagger from his arm and ran it across the black-drenched tunic, being wary of the arrows. He slowly stripped it off the man, leaving the excess to hang off the sides of the bed. A red undershirt laid underneath, connecting to the dragon that hung off his shoulders and waist. Hiccup made quick work of that one as well. He gently exposed the man's back, inhaling sharply at the sticky mess. It did not look pleasant. Thick blood welled around the 3 arrow wounds, but the worst was the one that was ripped open, welling with red rivulets flowing down the man's back without clothing to restrain its flow. The edges were raised and irritated. Small hints of white and yellow settled in the wound, indicating a deep laceration. Gods, the willpower to even move with wounds like this must be astonishing. His respect for Viggo grew a bit more, but he didn't focus on that. He instead focused on the task at hand. Oh, that's, not good. They're pretty far in, Hiccup. His chances aren't great. Are you really sure that he's even worth... Hiccup snapped at his friend, eyes glowing a dangerous viridian. Fishlegs, it's not his time yet, Norner be willing. Tell me what to do. He is dying. He gestured his hands to the rider, infuriated by the sheer amount of insubordination that's taken place. Why is nobody listening? He knew why, but still, he didn't have time. Okay. Fishwick's quickly rummaged through his things, taking a tankard of water and a pouch of herbs, dropping them into it. He spoke, more stern and professional, as he was taught by Gothi to do. One punctured close to the ridge of his back. You need to be careful. I'll pull out the arrows slowly. If one starts bleeding bad, you need to staunch it. There's some wool in my bag. Also, grab the whalebone. It's got some runes covered in it already. And Hiccup? He looked at his leader, his face grave. Pray to Ear for her blessing. I hope it's not as bad as it looks. Hiccup jumped as a hand landed on his shoulder. He whipped his head around to meet the concerned sky blue of his betrothed. He forgot she was there at the moment. The Fishwick's didn't seem to register her earlier either, if his gasp was any indication. Astrid, perfect. Grab a mortar and pestle. Match the honey and arrow together. Let Toothless out some saliva. We need poultice to treat the wounds. Hiccup, careful now. Let me know if there are any clear or yellow fluids. Anything smelly either. Got it? Hiccup nodded. Astrid looked dumbfounded for a moment, before nodding and heading towards the pile of items. Fishwick's efficiently extracted the arrows, noting the lack of barbed ends or shrapnel in the wounds, carefully setting them down. The man underneath them groaned, wiggling slightly in pain. Hiccup, as asked, used the wool to block the blood flow, placing the wool onto the wounds, alternating pressure on each one. Good. Staunch the flow. I need a needle. Fishwick hobbled over to a bag, pulling out a bone needle and thread. As he tied it off, he glanced at Hiccup. Just red, right? Hiccup nodded. Incredible. The gods are with him. The runes seem to be working. Fishwick nodded to himself, before walking back over with a yak bladder. Hiccup, back up. We're almost done. Take the wool coverings off. Get ready, he demanded. Hiccup complied. He squeezed the bladder, releasing vinegar across the wounds. Viggo yelled and writhed, face contorted in agony as his wounds were harshly cleaned with the vinegar. Hiccup grabbed his arm and leg, and Fish held the other side, holding the man as still as they could. The squirming finally slowed. Fishwick sewed the wounds closed with efficiency, ignoring the hunter's pained whimpers. Alright, Astrid, hand the poultice to Hiccup. Apply it gently. Hiccup took the offered bowl and hung it over the man's back, using the pestle to drop the concoction onto the man's wounds. Fishwick patted down the lumps before applying clean wool. As he headed to grab linen straps, Hiccup and Astrid helped prop the man up slightly. Fishwick quickly finished tending to the wounds, wrapping the linen tightly in place. And with that, they were done. There! Everyone collectively heaved a sigh of relief. A silence rung in the room, only accompanied by Viggo's labored breaths. Hiccup stared at the ground, avoiding his friend's accusing eyes. It sure was quite a nice wood, after all, in his hut. The grooves were deep and rich, and they really made the color pop. Hiccup, you've got some explaining to do. Now. Hiccup sighed. Yeah, he sure did. What did you do? He wished he had an answer.